1 through 30 in this part for today, and then we'll go from there. So we have some situations. It tells you what to do. Draw a line, FG. So let's do that. So FG. So we'll do this. We'll call this an F, and we'll call this G. And it says, and point H, which is not on the line. So we'll put H down here. How does that sound? It doesn't matter where exactly you put it. It doesn't. It says, now reflect. Point H across FG. If you remember how we want to reflect it, I'm going to use kind of a card here to give me a general idea of how far and what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put a marking on my card. And we'll notice that it has to be perpendicular to this line that we're drawing. So that's the key thing. So I'm going to do it dashed. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing up here. I'm going to dash it up here. And I'm going to put that point here. So the distance from here to here are the same, okay? Because that's what we're reflecting. So we're going to call this our H prime. Okay. Now, it says we need to identify some rules here that we got to look through. So let's look through it. So it says it's asking if this is true or not. HG or HF, which is this line right here, is congruent to FG. Okay, based on the rules that we know about reflections, this is not true, okay, because this is not long as that is, and if we were to measure it, it wouldn't work either. Okay, so let's look at this one. HF, which is again right here, seems to be a popular one, is congruent to H prime, which is, sorry, HF is over here. I apologize. HF is over here, is congruent to H prime G over here. Okay, that could look the same. It might be, but you know, this is not in the same middle. If this was in the middle and it said that I was bisecting it, then that would probably be true. So I'm going to say no on that one. Okay, so let's get a different color here. Let's go purple. It says FG, which is again this whole line right here. Anything that has to do with FG and H prime and G is not going to work on this one here. Because again, this line is definitely not as long as that one. So I'm going to sit there and say by process of elimination that D is going to be our answer. But let's just look at it though. So we're talking about HG, which is right here. Okay. And it is congruent to H prime G. This is true because we know that this distance and this distance is the same. And we can say that this distance from here to this point is the same because of the reflection property. And then because these two are congruent to, that means the third side of those triangles are going to be congruent to that one too. Okay? All right. Now, what we want to do here on question number 22, it talks about a quadrilateral. And I'm going to give you a subtle hint on this one, at least right now, and then we can go from there. But I would just concentrate. So we have 4 points here. I would just concentrate on one of them. I'm going to sit there and say, let's look at A for now until we have to go any further than that. It says that it is reflected across the x-axis. Okay, so the x-axis is this axis here. So that means we're taking something from here and moving it to here, or we're taking something from here and moving it down here. So the rule is when we take a coordinate, all that's going to happen is our x's are going to stay the same and our y changes to a negative. Okay? That's all that we do. So in this case here, we got our A, which is going to stay the same. So we'll say -4, and then the 2 is going to change to -2. So do we have any here that has a -4, -2? And the answer is C. But let's just double check ourselves on this. Let's do the same thing for this one. If we need to, x stays the same, -5. The 7 changes to its opposite, which is -7. That does match. Do the same thing here, it does match, and so forth, so we know that C is our answer on that one when we reflect it that way. Okay? All right. Now, question number 23, it says we're doing a translation again with a vector. That means we're moving it, so if we have like my card here, and I'm going to take it, I'm just going to move it and slide it across. It's called a slide, and it says we will translate the coordinate point -4 to down and to the right. So when we're talking about down, so we're talking about x is going down and y is going to the right. So if x is going down, that means this has to be negative, right? And if y is going to the right, we're talking about positive. So we need to have some positive. We need to have a negative x and a positive y. So x here is positive. That doesn't match this one. Okay. X is negative, which matches this one. But, whoops, sorry, hold on a second. X is, I'm sorry, I got it back. X is going down. I got these backwards. You guys, I apologize. So it's going to say y is going down. That means it's negative. And then x is going to the right, which is positive. So we need a positive and then a negative number. I screwed that up completely. I apologize. Okay, so we need to find a positive x and a negative y. Positive x, negative y. Right off the bat, we have an answer, but let's just double check to make sure we got this right. Negative, negative, positive, positive, negative, positive. So answer is A on this one. I apologize on that part there. Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, question number 24. Okay, it talks about this one here, and it doesn't have a multiple choice, but I made it a multiple choice scenario. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is we're going to look at it. It says, what is the distance between any point and its image under the translation of this? And then round your number to this. Again, we're going to have to use the distance formula to figure this out. So let's go to the graph, and we are just going to randomly pick a point, just a point. Doesn't matter where it is on the graph, okay? Where it is on the graph. And the easiest one that I always do, well, let's just start with the origin here, okay? And it says we're going to do a translation of x minus 3, okay? It's an x minus 3, and we're going to translate y, and we're going to add 8 to that, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's our second point. Now, based on that we just did, we have a distance of 3. And then we have a distance of what we just counted of 8. Is that correct? So now, again, we've done one of these earlier in one of the sections here where we're going to take the 8 and we're going to square it. We're going to take the 3 and we're going to square it. Okay, so 8 squared is 64. 3 squared is 9. We're going to add these two up. Okay, 64 plus 9 is going to give me 73. And then what do we do at the end again? Oops, if you guys can see that, I apologize. We're going to go ahead and take the square root of that. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. And we're going to go the square root of 73. And the answer to that's going to give me an 8.54. And it said to round to the nearest tenth, so the answer would end up being 8.5. All right, so 8.5 for question number 25. Okay, we can do a few more here on this section here. So we said 8.5 on that one. Okay, now going down here, it's asking which of the following translations does the image of the rectangle XYZ not overlap the pre-image? So here's our image over here, and we don't want it to overlap at all. So if I were to move, I'm just going to pick one particular point. I'm going to take W, and I'm going to use that one. I'm going to move it 0 and then negative 1.5. So 0 meaning going to the right, 0, or left, none, and then I'm going down 1.5, 1.5. Is that point on or inside of this area at all? It is. Okay, so that's not going to work. So let's do the same thing with this one. Let's go x, we're going to add 3.5 to it, but we're not going to either go up or down. So we're going to take our W again, and the biggest thing then on this, if we're going to move this to the right, we want to make it so it moves at least past the x. If it doesn't move past the x, then it cannot work. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3, and a 0.5. So that W prime works pretty good there. So let's just double check these out. So chances are our answer is probably going to be B. So let's look at this one here. We're going to go down. We're going to go to the left 1. So if we go left 1, and if I went left 1, is that going to overlap? Remember, again, it has to moves at least 3 units. Again, this one's going to move to left 3. 1, 2, 3 is our W. X is going to be 1, 2, 3, moves right on top of the W. So in this case, we know our answer because it moved 3.5. to the left. And then if we had to move units going up and down, it had to at least move more than two to get that answer. All right, I'm going to stop here for this part, and then we're going to come back to part 2 of questions 26 through 30. All right, talk to you later.